Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, May 16, 2023. I'm Rochelle Batiste with the details. The Magnetic Resonance Imaging or MRI machine is already in state and is being set up for operation at the module site at the Georgetown Modern Medical Complex. This was noted on Star Radio today by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who said he, along with Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Sinclair Prince, Administrator of the Modern Medical Complex, Idinga Walker, 2 engineers from the Poland company which manufactured the MRI machine, and 7 Cuban professionals who will be operating the machine were at the module site in Georgetown on Monday.
The 7 Cuban professionals whom we have obtained through the arrangements with the Cuban government, they are a radiographer, a radiologist, 2 biomedical engineers, and 3 other mechanical engineers. You had professionals from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, both from the private sector and the public sector. I'm talking about persons in the field of engineering and technology. And of course, there were the persons on the contracted company who are going to do the physical installation. That is to say, to lift the engine, lift the machine, and put it in the module. So the module was put in place already. Remember, a couple months ago, we reported that the module had arrived. Remember that?
Yes, Prime Minister, I do.
And the base and everything for the module was constructed. The change room, the seating area towards the module in which the MRI machine is being placed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a roof for the module, which is lifted off, and the machine lifted in.
Oh, wow.
And then the roof is put back on.
I didn't realize there was a lot of kind of work had to be done.
PM Gonsalves said with all the technical work to be done, if all goes well, they expect MRI service will be offered here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines by July 1st this year.
The 29th of June would be the 5th anniversary of the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center. This complex there, 5 years ago, you know, it has done remarkable work.
It has indeed.
And we have done the rehabilitation after the volcanic eruption. You will discover still a couple of things on the roof now, and those things are being dealt with. So hopefully we are looking at a target date of the 29th of June to be able to inaugurate the facility and start everything from 1st of July.
Okay.
Or immediately after the 29th of June. That's the ballpark.
Okay.
So that's the intention. Now you may recall that when we came to office, all you had was one antiquated X-ray machine down at the hospital. Now you have very sophisticated and modern X-ray facilities. You have at Bucament, you have at Mespo, by Levi Latham, and you have at Georgetown. Then you have in Kingston and at Georgetown at Modern Medical. CT scan. Now you have MRI at Georgetown, Modern Medical and Diagnostic Complex. And when the hospital at Arnesville the acute referral hospital, when that is built out, because hopefully we will break ground in October, November, and that will finish sometime in 2026. There would be an MRI facility there too.
The MRI machine reportedly carries a price tag of US $5 million. And Prime Minister Gonsalves used the opportunity on the radio today to hit back at members of the opposition for statement made at the NDP's rally on Saturday night in Georgetown in relation to the country's healthcare service.
5-7 minutes walk from where they had their rally. There is over $100 million worth of medical health facilities put in place by this government.
Yes.
And that money doesn't involve the real estate which is there. And below that, there is a facility connected to health, the Chili Plain Field, in which we have put facilities for seating and washrooms and all the rest.
Change rooms.
The place.
Yes.
Develop the field. Put a pavilion. And just below that, there is a modern hard court, fenced with walls, change room, washroom, which the Lotto has built for over $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
That was all that existed there before, from the NDP time, was a slab of concrete on the ground. What did I just tell you? Old people say,
Oh, yes.
listen not to the lying tongue. Always believe what your eyes are seeing
Yes.
with crystal clarity. And believe on the reportage of what your eyes have seen.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, told the gathering at the NDP's Hope Rally in Georgetown on Saturday night that a person's political choice is their constitutional right and should not determine what position they hold in the society.
To continue with them would mean more division. It will mean more suffering. It will mean more politics of spite and victimization. Your political choices shouldn't decide whether you can get a job. It shouldn't decide whether your company can bid fairly for a contract. It should not decide if you're a lawyer that you can get your work processed by government offices that are entitled or required to do it. Your political choices is your constitutional God-given right. It should not determine these things for you. It tells you that our country is broken. And what is more serious, if they claim to love people so much, how can you, in God's name, understand how they have been treating the public servants of this country who, for their own valid reasons, for fear, for whatever they chose, decided not to be vaccinated, and the government decided to fire them? How can a government that says it cares about people continue to punish these people as though they are enemies of the state? Imagine a school teacher of 25 years, a police officer for 20 years, a nurse, a healthcare worker who has worked so hard, and then in one fell swoop their entire career is wiped out. They have to worry about their pension. They have to worry, having worked for 25 years and approaching retirement. What are they going to do? There are people in this country like that now. You know them in your communities. How can you say that you love the people of this country and you treat them like that?
And in her address, Opposition Senator Siobhan John told the gathering that hope is alive and that the New Democratic Party, NDP, is a party of hope for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And I stand here to deliver hope to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, we hear you. We see you. And we understand the dismal things that are happening in this country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In this country, we are faced with many obstacles to growth. Just recently, we were at the epicenter of a volcano eruption whose impact are still being felt. Our infrastructure remains weak and investment lags behind in this country. Crime remains high. We have bad roads. The abuse of women and girls. Our health sector has deteriorated. So tonight, we came here to bring the message of hope to you, to talk to you, the hard-working farmers who are struggling against tremendous odds to keep their farms going and to feed our nation. We come here to talk to the hundreds of ambitious young people who have completed studies and are seeking employment opportunities for further development. We are talking to the business people who are literally struggling to keep their businesses afloat in the face of a flattering economy. We are talking to the general population, especially the older folks who are struggling with non-communicable diseases. And the health sector has deteriorated so badly that they cannot be helped. I am saying to you tonight, there is hope under the NDP.
John also told the gathering that the lack of opportunities and togetherness are preventing many Vincentians from reaching their fullest potential and having a better standard of living.
Throughout these challenges, what makes us good is our sense of community. In other words, our people ready to work together to make things better. But the willingness to come together is not matched by the government that we have today. The government does not want to step up and bring people together. No, they want to divide you all the time. Too often we are taken for granted. Our people are taken for granted. And this government hope that you won't notice when they come around only at election time or when they are pushed by this party, members of parliament, to get things done. The measure of this government, what they choose as their measure, is one that will only benefit them and their colleagues. Not every one of you here tonight. I have walked through this constituency and you're getting the same old story for 25 years. People will tell you 20 years. People tell you I am overlooked for promotion. My children are not given any help. Even the road coming up to my house is not being cleaned because I am perceived NDP. These things must stop. They must stop. We have to make the change so that these things can stop. It is sad, but we have to face the reality. And that is why we are bringing hope to you, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has predicted the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will grow this year by 6.2%. Commenting on this projection on radio, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Information Technology, Camilo Gonzalez, said he welcomes the projection as it will be the strongest growth recorded in the Caribbean besides oil-rich Guyana.
From the Bahamas and Jamaica in the north all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago and Suriname. In the south, the 6.2% growth that they project for us this year will be the best performance of any country outside of Guyana. And then next year, in 2024, they say they're predicting that our growth will be over 5%. And in that case, again, we will be number one or number two outside of Guyana. So they say that near-term growth is supported by the recovery in tourism and agriculture and substantial construction activity. So they're saying that we're growing by over 6% this year. It will be one of the better performances, if not the best performance in the region. And why are we growing that much this year? Three things. Tourism is recovering. Agriculture is growing, and we have substantial construction activity. And we on the ground, we see this. We see the big hotels, we see the port project, we see the schools being constructed, we see the road program rolling out. So we know that there's construction going on, and we see that agriculture is recovering. Agriculture and fisheries recovering after the volcanic eruptions.
Even with the projected economic growth, Minister Gonzalez said the IMF urged SVG to manage its debts wisely.
And the IMF is saying because of these three things, tourism, agriculture, and construction, we are going to have strong growth this year and next year. And we also had very good growth last year as well. They say that the recovery is stronger than in the rest of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, and it is stronger here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines than in those countries that depend solely on tourism. And when you put all your eggs in the tourism basket, you rise high, but you fall far too when things don't work out. And they were applauding us for continuing to invest in agriculture and fisheries as part of our economy. But they said that our tourism is responding well, and they are encouraged by the number of hotel rooms that are under construction, and they believe that that will lead to greater airlifts, more airlines coming into St. Vincent and the Grenadines, bringing more tourism. So they have a very positive outlook on tourism. They say the tourism sector posted a robust recovery, and the outlook is favorable given the recent increase in airlift and planned increases in room capacity. So again, we're growing faster than our neighbors and friends. We're growing because of tourism, agriculture, and construction, and they are optimistic about where we are with tourism.
Meanwhile, Minister Gonzalez said an announcement will be made this week for the distribution of 5,000 laptops and tablets to students across St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
We have in stock right now over 3,000 devices that we got out of Taiwan. We have them in stock, they're loaded, they're in a room right now, locked away safely, waiting for the distribution. 3,000 of those. And by end of month, we're getting another 2,000 tablets from a different source. And we're going to distribute those devices in the next couple of weeks, but we'll announce it next week. So some students, let's say at the community college and in Form 5, they got their tablets a couple of years ago. Some of them are damaged. And some of them now, they need new devices because they're doing different levels of work. They're doing more complex work now. And so we have these tablets and laptops to give them. And then those students at the lower grades, in the grade 3s and the grade 2s and so on, we're getting tablets for them as well. So another 5,000 tablets going to be distributed to the end of May and the start of June. We'll announce the plan next week. And already in stock, in hand, we already have 3,000 and the other 2,000 are en route.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as the pro tempore president of the Community of Latin America and the Caribbean States, CELAC, has called for closer cooperation in providing practicable and actionable outcomes in averting the global climate crisis. The country's Minister of Sustainable Development, Carlos James, made the call at the recently held European Union, Latin America and the Caribbean Ministerial Meeting on Environment and Climate Change held in San Jose, Costa Rica on May 4, 2023. Ministers from the EU and CELAC committed to stepping up cooperation to tackle the triple planetary crisis of climate change, pollution and biodiversity loss. They agreed to promote a transition towards low carbon, circular and clean economies where nature is protected and restored. During the plenary meeting, Minister James expressed the view that action beyond pledges is required in scaling up climate change action. He added that the EU-CELAC partnership must advance the conversation from dialogue to actionable outcomes that are solutions-based, realistic, and meaningful in the fight against climate change. According to Minister James, the upcoming EU-CELAC summit, which will be held in Brussels on the 17th and 18th of July, presents a tremendous opportunity to redefine the region's position on the way forwards with development partners such as the European Union. He further notes that St. Vincent and the Grenadines pro-tempore presidency of CELAC is about strengthening the collaboration on matters of mutual interest, including climate change. 14 ministers and 65 representatives from LAC and the EU attended the ministerial meeting on environment and climate change. They discussed opportunities for closer cooperation on the conservation, restoration, and sustainable use of biodiversity in line with the new Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, including the fight against deforestation and forest degradation and the promotion of deforestation-free supply chains. They also discussed policies and best practices to make their economies more circular and less carbon intensive and polluting, including accelerating the transition to a circular economy and cooperating towards an ambitious global agreement to tackle plastics pollution. The meeting of ministers highlighted the key points of convergence around regional priorities and interregional cooperation, which will be used as input for the EU-CELAC summit. Here that the entire Vincentian public is invited to an hypertension awareness outreach activity at the Old Treasury Car Park tomorrow, Wednesday, May 17th, 2023, in observance of World Hypertension Day 2023. The activity will be hosted by the SVG Diabetes and Hypertension Association under the theme Measure Your Blood Pressure Accurately, Control It, Live Longer. In a telephone interview with SVG-TV News, President of the SVG Diabetes and Hypertension Association, Sister Janice Oliver Crease, said there will be free screening for hypertension at tomorrow's event.
So as we celebrate World Hypertension Day, which is tomorrow, 17th of May, we will be at the Old Treasury building site next to the post office, and we will be doing screening free of charge. So we are inviting the entire population of St. Vincent, those who can make it. If you're in and around Kingston, we will be there from 9:30 tomorrow with the Ministry of Health in collaboration with the Nutrition Unit to do some screening. So you can come along, know your number, know where you are, being counseled on the importance of your medication, and you will be taken care of on that day. So we look forward for seeing you as we offer our service to our people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Sister Oliver Cree said World Hypertension Day is observed annually on May 17th to bring awareness to the medical effects associated with high blood pressure.
The objective of World Hypertensive Day is to communicate to the public of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are communicating to you the importance of hypertension and its serious medical complications such as heart failure, stroke, kidney failure, and blindness, to name a few. We also communicate to you information on how to prevent, detect, and treat high blood pressure. I must let you know that 1 in 4 adults aged 20 to 44 end up with hypertension and they don't even know. Reason is that they don't check their blood pressure. And we have so many health facilities throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not too far from where we are living, that we can have access to go and get your blood pressure checked. It is also called a silent killer, and that is why you cannot take chance. Because the moment you take chance, it's when you're going to get the sad news. So we have aspects like physical activity, your diet, very important, and adequate rest that individuals need to have.
The role and importance of the Police Oversight Committee were discussed on the Police Beat program on NBC Radio last evening. Chairman Wendell Davis said the role of the Police Oversight Committee is to monitor the conduct of police officers with a view of initiating disciplinary proceedings if allegations are supported, which he said is one way of resolving issues between members of the RSVG police force and the general public.
The purpose of the committee and the purpose of this commission is to receive and to investigate and to adjudicate and report upon cases of excesses, abuses against private citizens by members of the police force. We just investigate them, and we try to. And I like to say it as us being the middleman within the committee. In fact, I've had meeting with the Commissioner of Police, and that by meeting with them was to really let them know, help us to understand that it should never be us against them. It's not us against the public or us against the police or us. It's how do we ensure that we get the best out of our police force and that there is not much or any excesses. And of course, as I said a while ago, there are going to be cases that people just bring the case, but there's really no merit to the case. It's going to be the role of the committee to investigate and to see whether or not it's something that worth looking into, or whether it's something that is just, that we can just, doesn't have any merit to it. So it's a broad-based thing, but we just want to know, that the public to know that we exist and we are here to solve.
Member of the Police Oversight Committee, Deniston Douglas, said there is a need for an environment of trust between the general public and members of the RSVG police force.
Over the years, by both members of the public and by the police themselves, there's this feeling that it is them against us. And in our community, in our country, it cannot be the police see themselves as against the public or the public see themselves against the police. We need an environment, and this committee, role of this committee, part of it, is to create that environment of trust where it's the police, it's the public against the criminal element in the society. Because, as I said earlier, we all want to live in a safe community. You know, we want to be safe in our homes. And that is one of the mentality we have to change, both within the public and within the police force itself. It's never them against us or we against them. We have to see ourselves as working together as a team to fight against tendencies of some of our citizens to commit criminal and be involved in criminal activities.
The Oversight Committee chairman suggested several measures that can be taken to improve a level of trust between the police and the public.
Is create that partnership, that friendship within the schools, because I think a lot of times we ignore the importance of going to those institutions where the young minds are, who are going to be growing up to be the men and women. So if you can begin to create that trust and that level of confidence in the children in the school, then they would grow up with that level of respect and love and liking for the police force. So making yourself visible, not just from those who are, this is police on the beat, right? That those those on the street and the traffic, the guys in the traffic, but just regular visit to schools. To maybe, I know you have church service maybe once a year or so, but every now and then just visit a church, visit those institutions, and create that friendship, that bond, so that people could know that, hey, these guys are there, men and women are there to be friendly with us, to help us, to protect us, to provide the level of security that we need in the times that we are living. So things like those, I think, and then with the committee in place that's functioning with its composition, somebody from the clergy, somebody with the legal mind, and somebody from the general public sitting on the committee, and you understand that we are here to help, we are here to provide the level of assurance that, hey, if you bring a case to us, we're going to look into it to see whether or not it merits investigation, and we're going to be frank, we're going to fair with you, we're going to tell you what the outcome is going to be. And that kind of partnership, like Dennis and say, it's not us against the police or the police against the public, it's us against the criminal elements, the criminal minds in our communities. And if we can all come together to fight those criminal minds, then it's going to be a little easier.